In this lesson, we're going to be learning a little bit about numbers in Arabic. Number 1 to number 10, to be precise. And it's on page 45. Numbers are also based on gender. You have masculine version and feminine version of the same number. Wahidun, that's number 1, and that is masculine. Wahidatun, number 1, and that is feminine. Ithnani, number 2, masculine. Ithnatani, number 2, feminine. Let's see how we use number 1 and number 2 in Arabic. The rules governing number 1 and number 2 is as follows. Number 1 and number 2, if you have to use them, you use them as adjective. And the implication of that is they will come after the noun. Such as kitabun. If you say kitabun, that is understood as one book. That's a book. So you don't actually need to use wahidun. But if you want to, then you say kitabun wahidun. It's like really a reinforcement. So kitabun, let's write, you say kitabun. Kitabun, and then you say wahidun. Because kitabun is masculine, you have to use masculine wahidun. Kitabun wahidun. If you mention something which is feminine, such as maybe darajatun, a bike. So let's write darajatun. 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 Now if you want to mention number 1, you mention after darajatun, you say darajatun wahidatun. Darajatun wahidatun. So that's how you use number 1. Now number 2 follows the same pattern. If you want to say 2 books in Arabic, you know the pattern. To convert a singular noun to dual, you just say any ending. You say kitabani. Kitabani. That's two books. So there's no need really to mention number 2. But if you want to mention number 2, however, like a reinforcement, emphasis, adjective, you say kitabani, and then you make number 2. This is masculine. You say kitabani ithnani. Kitabani ithnani. Ithnani. Note that we're using masculine with masculine. If you want to say 2 bikes, you say darajatani, and that is understood and that is sufficient. But if you want to reinforce that, you say darajatani ithnatani. 2 bikes. So it's darajatani, darajatani, darajatani ithnatani. Ithnatani. Darajatani ithnatani. That's how number 1 and number 2 are used in Arabic. If you want to, then you have to use them after the noun. You say kitabun wahidun. Darajatun wahidatun. Kitabani ithnani. Darajatani ithnatani. Now, let's learn how to use number 3 to number 10. Couple of notes for you. Number 1, these numbers 3 to 10 will come first before the noun, unlike number 1 and number 2. Note number 2, the gender of these numbers 3 to 10 will be opposite of the noun that you are counting. Meaning, if you are counting a noun which is masculine, you would choose the feminine version of number 3 to 10. If you are counting a noun or nouns which is feminine, you choose masculine version of number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's note number 2. The third note is this. The vowel on this number, when you are counting items, will be single. Don't say thalathun, it will be thalathu. Now let's illustrate these 3 notes. Number 1, let's say we are going to count books. We say 3 books. We know how to say 1 and 2 books. You say kitabun, wahidun, kitabani, ithnani, if you want to use number 1 and number 2. What about 3 books? The first thing you need to know the plural of book. Kitabun, that's 1 book. Kutubun is books. So we start with the number. Because we are counting books, which is masculine, we use feminine of number 3. So we say thalatha, fala, fala, fa. Let's put thalathatu, and then we put plural of book. We say ku, tu, kutubin. Let's analyze this. Because we're counting masculine, it is kutubin, kutubun, we use feminine form of number 3. And also you will know that we start with the number 3. Another observation is we are using single vowel, thalathatu. The item that we are counting is in plural format and it has 2 kesra. Thalathatu kutubin. The reason we are using this u, single, is because it is regarded as defined. Because this is what you call possessive construction. We are attributing number 3 to books. So thalathatu kutubin. Now let's count 3 bikes. Bikes, that's a feminine word in Arabic. So we will use masculine version of number 3 and we start with it. So we will say fala, fala. Let's put it in red so you can see. Falathu, and then darrajatin. Darrajatin. And that's a plural, and that means bikes. Bicycles. Thalathu darrajatin. We start with the number and we use the masculine version and we put only dhamma, single dhamma, because we are counting feminine items. And the items that we are counting, in this case is bikes, we end with 2 kesra, darrajatin. Thalathu darrajatin. The same pattern will be used if you are counting 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For instance, if you want to say 4 books, you will simply say, you use feminine, you say aruba'atu, single u, just as you did here, aruba'atu kutubin. If you are counting 4 bikes, you will choose this one with a single u. You say arba'u and then darrajatin. If you're counting 5 books, you say khamsatu, single u, khamsatu kutubin, and khamsu darrajatin. If you are counting 6, you will say sittatu with single u, sittatu kutubin. And sittu, single u, sittu darajatin. If you are counting 7 books, you will say sab'atu kutubin, and 7 bikes will be sab'u, single u, sab'u darajatin. Now, if you are counting 8, I need to do a little bit of explanation for you there in number 8. Number 8 has some peculiarity, something special. You will note here when we are counting in isolation, we say thamanin, and then in the feminine say thamaniyatun. Thamanin, there is a ya that's missing, and you will learn the reason why much later during the course of the series. But let's say you want to say 8 books. You will say Thamani, that ya is back. Thamani, and then kutubin. Thamaniyatu kutubin rather. So you will say Thamaniyatu, and then kutubin. Kutubin. What about counting 8 bikes? 8 bikes will be Thamani with the ya, Thamani, and then darajatin. Daraja, and then 10. Thamani darajatin. The reason why we are in isolate without the ya, thamanin, that will be explained much later. The concentration here is to understand that when you are counting from 3 to 10, counting items, 3 items, masculine, you use feminine form of these numbers. If you are counting feminine items, you use masculine form of these numbers: 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is the rules you need to absorb and understand. Now, let's say you want to say 10 boys. Boys, that's masculine. You choose feminine form of 10, which is this one, with a single vowel. You say asharatu, and then the plural of boys, you say awladin. Asharatu awladin. If you want to say 10 girls, you would choose this masculine form of number 10 with a single vowel. You say ashuru, and then banatin. Now on page 45, you will see the explanation of how to use number 1 to number 10 clearly laid out for you here. And at the bottom of that page, look at this table. You see kitabun, that's a book, and thalathatu kutubin, 3 books, waladun, arba'atu awladin, 4 boys. We're using the feminine version of number 3 and number 4. And thalathu sayyaratin, 3 cars, we're using masculine because we're counting feminine. 4 girls, arba'u banatin, we're using masculine because we're counting feminine. Now on page 46, there is exercise 33. Please do that for me. Very easy thing to do. Just convert the figures into numbers. You write it in words for me, and that's a very straightforward. Page 34 as well. You look at the picture, count the items, establish whether the items are masculine or feminine, and then choose the appropriate numbers to count them. One is done for you. Number 1, arba'atu aranib. Rabbit is masculine in Arabic, therefore we're using feminine form of number 4, arba'atu aranib. Girls, you have how many girls? 5 girls, so you use masculine form of 5. You say khamsu and then banatin. Mil'aqatun, spoon, that is a feminine Arabic, so you use masculine form of whatever the number. In this case, I think is 10. So you say ashru, because that's masculine form of number 10. And then